When the alien Queen's guards fled, the humans stayed XT. Everith Prime Red Valley, dusk. The sky burns a violent scarlet as a convoy rumbles through a jagged canyon. Dust hangs heavy in the air, thick and alive, glowing like embers against the dying light. The ground trembles beneath the tires. The valley seems to close in. Inside the lead vehicle, human soldiers grip their rifles with a tension that could snap steel. Among them, Sergeant Jake Morrison's sharp eyes scan sharper shadows. He's a man who's known war, seen friends fall and somehow survived. Opposite Jake, a figure of crystalline elegance, Queen Asara of the Christian Empire. Her skin fractures light into 1,000 shimmering shards, a living prism of alien grace and power. She's silent, regal, unmoved. Jake breaks the silence with a bitter murmur. Jake hell of a way to end a war. Suddenly, a shock wave rips through the quiet. The lead vehicle explodes, fire and metal raining down. The world twists, screams fill the void, and then silence. Jake claws his way from wreckage, the dust thick on his tongue. His eyes lock onto the Queen's guards. They stand frozen, then falter. Raiders pour down the cliffs, merciless, relentless. The guards flee, only Jake stays. The war isn't over. Not yet. Part 1. The mission that should have ended the war. Military transport. Dusk. Verith Prime, the crimson sky, hangs low and heavy, casting the valley in a red haze. Dust swirls like embers around jagged spikes of rock that split the landscape, where razor cliffs cut the terrain into a narrow gauntlet. The convoy pushes forward, wheels grinding against the cracked earth. Inside the military transport, the hum of engines is drowned by the tense silence of men and one woman who hold their weapons, as if they were the only things keeping them alive. Their faces are grim, dirt-streaked, forged in the long furnace of war. At the center stands Sergeant Jake Morrison, Tuasu, a rough-edged, no-bullshit soldier, who wears scars like badges and eyes every shadow like it's trying to kill him. Jake never unpacks. Everything he owns is packed tight in his bag. Ready for the worst, across the cabin sits the alien Queen, Asara of the Christian Empire, a creature of glass and light, her skin crystalline and translucent, refracting the dying sunlight into fractured rainbows that dance softly against the walls. She doesn't speak. She sits silent, wrapped in the cold dignity that only royalty can wear. 6 towering, silent royal guards surround her, their armor reflecting the blood-red light. Expressionless and still as statues, Jake watches her carefully, trying to read the inscrutable calm in her eyes. The crackle of the radio cuts through the stillness. Diplomat, through radio. Convoy Delta 7, maintain formation. Peace delegation ETA 15 minutes. Repeat 15 minutes, Jake mutters under his breath. Jake, peace. Yeah, right. He scans the valley ahead. The narrow pass looks like a trap. Every rock a jagged tooth ready to bite. His instincts scream. Suddenly, a thunderous shockwave crashes through the convoy. The lead vehicle erupts in a fireball that lights the valley like an exploding star. Metal screams and screams louder than the war-torn screams of men inside. The transport flips hard, tumbling sideways. The world spins and Jake is thrown against the walls, then swallowed by darkness. Silence crashes down. When Jake claws his way out through splintered steel and thick smoke, his ears ring with the deafening hush after the explosion. The Queen's guards are alive, but their faces twist with panic. Raiders swarm down the cliffs like a swarm of wolves, merciless scavengers, hired guns, and war profiteers drawn by the smell of blood and broken machines. Blaster flashes paint the valley in violent streaks of blue and red fire. The guards exchange quick, terrified glances. Then they run. Jake, staggering, shouting, "You gotta be kidding me." He spots the Queen slumped among the wreckage, her crystalline body fractured, cracks glowing with dangerous light. Raiders close in like vultures. Jake doesn't hesitate. He raises his rifle and opens fire. Jake, shouting, "Stay down." Bullets rip through the air, banging against rock and metal. The echoes bounce off the narrow canyon walls, sending the final shot like a promise. Jake reaches the Queen and hauls her body behind a rocky outcrop, ignoring the burning in his muscles. Jake, panting, "Can you move?" Asara, weak, voice distant but steady. "Why? Do you stay?" Jake, breathing hard, "'Cause someone's gotta." He wipes blood from his brow, eyes sharp despite the chaos. Jake, quietly. You're not alone in this hell. A low moan from the Queen as she shifts. Asarami guards. They fled. Jake, yeah. Left you out here to die. Jake looks over the narrow valley entrance. They're swarming in fast, Jake. We ain't got much time. He rips a strip from his uniform, presses it to her wounds. Her blood pulses faintly blue and glows faintly through the cloth. Asara, eyes narrowing. This is shame beyond death. Jake smirks grimly. Jake then lived long enough to make him remember that shame. He snatches his comms device, presses the button. Static answers him, no response. The blame falls like a heavy stone. Jake to himself. Radio's toast. Damn, he pulls a flare from his pack and prepares to set up traps. Jake, all right, princess. Time to turn this graveyard into a trap. Asara, watching. You're injured. Jake, nothing new. Been through worse skirmishes. Asara, you fight for paycheck, yet risk everything. Jake, shrugging. Not for the paycheck. Habit. They share a moment, two worlds caught in a quiet standoff, her translucent eyes flickering with something almost like respect. A distant roar. Something's moving in the shadows. Jake, slow, deadly raiders. They're closing in. Asara, can we survive this night? Jake, loading rifle. Damn right we can. The sun sinks lower. The valley darkens. Somewhere far off, a flare bursts. Too far to be rescue. They both know it. Jake, under breath. That ain't help coming, Asara, softly. Then we fight. They brace themselves. Ready as the night closes in. Part 2. One man between an empire and oblivion. Next, rocky outcrop. Night. The night is a blanket of black velvet, pierced by distant stars and the dull glow of the fading flare Jake set earlier. The air is sharp and thin, heavy with tension and dust. Every shadow could hide a threat. Jake presses a rough cloth soaked in water from his kit against the Queen's side. The wound glows faintly, a shimmering blue light leaking from beneath the bandages. Asara winces but stays still, watching him, the way a hunter studies its prey. Asarami guards. They will come back. Jake shakes his head, dry humor breaking through the exhaustion. Jakena. They ran off like scared pups. You saw it yourself. Asara, soft, almost a whisper. It is shame beyond death. Jake's jaw tightens. Jake then lived long enough to make it hurt for him. He pulls his trench coat tighter and moves stealthily, setting tripwires and mines from his pack. Each click and snap is purpose-built to make a killing zone. Jake Sato, half to himself. If someone's coming for us, I want 'em stopped cold. His radio is silent, a dead end in a dead valley. He loads his rifle with methodical care. Every round counts. The distant howls of night creatures slice the silence. Asara watches, fascination replacing some of her usual icy detachment. Asara, you are bleeding. Jake, with a dry grin. Hey, comes with the job description. I've seen worse, Asara. You risk everything for pay. Jakena, not pay. Habit. Their eyes lock. Silence spills between them, heavy and electric. An eerie scrape echoes nearby. Something metallic on stone. Raiders are prowling. Jake's hand creeps toward a smoke grenade. Jake hears, hoping it ain't rescue, princess. Another flare bursts overhead. A cruel mockery of salvation. Jake, smirking grimly. Nope, that's the enemy coming to party. Asara barely nods, eyes sharp in the dark. Jake, guess we fight until we can't anymore. The night tightens around them, the valley sealing their fate. Part 3. Enemy in the Darkint. Abandoned outpost. Pre-dawn Jake and Queen. Asara slip into the shadowed ruins of a long-forgotten military base, silent metal halls scarred by time and neglect. Flickering emergency lights hum faintly, struggling against the darkness. Jake moves quickly, patching broken wiring, jerry-rigging power to bring dim lights to life. The soft glow reveals Asara's battered form. Her crystal blood pulses gently beneath torn fabric, her face pale but eyes sharp and resolute. Asara, you should leave me here. They're hunting for me. Jake, leaving you would mean they'd find us both. She watches him with a cautious mix of awe and fear. Asara, you are a fool, Jake, grinning despite the pain. Story checks out. He steps outside cautiously, rifle raised, making himself an easy target. The night suddenly erupts. Raider gunfire sprays, loud and brutal. Jake draws down 3 attackers with sharp, practiced shots, then stumbles, pain blossoming hot in his shoulder. Asara, rushing to him. You bleed too much. Jake, gritting his teeth. Yeah, noticed. She presses her glowing hands to the wound. Alien biocrystal light seeps into his flesh. Pain flinches, then fades into warmth. His veins shimmer faintly under his skin. Asara, in awe. You shouldn't be alive. Jake, weak grin. That's the story of my life, princess. Outside, the storm passes. Inside, the silence between them is heavier, a bond forged in fire and blood. Their shadows stretch, merging on rusted walls, human and alien indistinguishable in the dim glow. Part 4. The Shame of the Empirant, Christian High Council Chamber. Day. The chamber is a vast, crystalline dome, lit with cold blue light refracting off towering walls. The atmosphere is tense. Noble Christian officials encircle a massive table of shimmering light. The Queen's absence has stirred a storm of whispers and accusations. Hollow feeds flicker across the room, leaking the damning footage. A human soldier standing alone, defending the fallen Queen. The room quakes with disbelief and outrage. General Vera, deep, commanding, "This is a lie." Propaganda fitting for human fools, Minister Lauren accusing. Her own armor cam shows the truth. Their guards abandoned her. A hush for the Empress's voice, cold, fractured, authoritative, pours from the chamber's speakers. Empress voice, VO, find the Queen, erase the shame. And the human. Erase him from history. Cut to XT Verith Prime salt plains. Day, Jake and Asara trudge through endless white salt flats, their boots kicking up clouds of biting dust. Drones hum overhead, hunters searching relentlessly. Asara, soft. Resigned. My people will kill you for saving me. Jake, grinning. Grim, wouldn't be the first time someone tried firing on me for doing the right thing. They pause to share a ration of water. Her faintly glowing blood stains his sleeve, crackling subtly beneath fabric. Jake, half joking. Great, radioactive now. Just what I always wanted. Asara, soft smile. Now you're one of us. The horizon shimmers as dropships descend like birds of prey, emerging from one. Cloaked beneath mirrored armor is one of the deserting royal guards, the betrayer. This continued detailed part keeps the tension sharpened, political stakes raised, and smoothly builds to further twists and confrontation. Crafted for gripping audiobook. Narration. I can continue with the remaining parts in this format, or provide the full screenplay. Text in parts according to your preference. Part 5, the Valley of Glassext. Crystal Valley. Night, the valley glistens eerily under twin moons. Jagged crystalline glass spikes burst from the ground like frozen lightning. The air is thick with tension and electric cold. Jake and Asara crouch behind a downed skimmer, both battered but breathing fast. From the shadows, a figure emerges, Guard Captain Kellen, marked by guilt and heavy resolve. His mirrored armor catches the moonlight, hiding his face but no hiding the weight of shame in his posture. Guard Captain Kellen, Majesty, forgive me for my failure, but you must die so the Empire can live. Jake steps smoothly from cover, rifle raised, steady. Jake, you had your chance to protect her. I'm not giving you mine. A violent firefight explodes across the valley, muzzle flashes reflecting off every shard of glass, turning the place into a strobe of light and shadow. Jake moves like a shadow, wounded but relentless. Plasma bolts rip toward him. A direct hit to the chest sends him sprawling. Asara screams, a sharp crystalline fracture flowing across her skin. Energy bursts outward in a brilliant storm of light. The valley detonates. Fire and rainbow shards explode outward in every direction. When the dust settles, her soldiers are gone, turned to shimmering dust. Jake lies still. Asara bends to him, hands glowing. Asara, tears, you stayed. I will stay too. Energy flows from her to him, blending their light as dawn creeps across the horizon. The pulse of their combined glow is visible from orbit, a symbol of sacrifice and union. Part 6. After the War Ext. Verith Prime, months later. Hair is thick with ceremony, sunlight filtering soft through alien skies. At the site of the peace conference, humans and Christians gather side by side beneath the towering monument, an imposing statue of a human silhouette shielding a crystalline queen. The crowd is a mix of weary warriors and hopeful diplomats. Flags flutter, speeches echo, promises of peace. Cut to a quiet, remote valley on Verith Prime. Months after the guns fell silent. Jake, alive but changed, moves gently through the ruins, the faint glow of alien biocrystals tracing veins down his arms, beneath roughened sleeves. He tends a small garden, fragile green shoots struggling through cracked stone. The distant humming of a shuttle landing breaks the silence. Jake looks up, a slow smile spreading across his bruised face. Sarah steps off the shuttle. The regal crown is gone, the armor too. She's a woman different now, less queen, more survivor, and something more. Sarah, they call you the hero of two worlds. Jake, smiling, wry. I didn't do much. I just stayed. Sarah, then stay a little longer. They stand side by side watching twin suns rise, light blending soft as blood once did, promising a fragile new dawn.